You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. This episode is sponsored by the Using the Power of Your Voice eGuide, your guide to launching your podcast in 30 days. Slayers, are you feeling a call from God to start a podcast but uncertain about where to begin or what you'll need? Creating a podcast can be a fulfilling and enjoyable experience. Whether you're interested in sharing your expertise on a specific subject, conducting engaging interviews, or educating and entertaining your listeners, podcasting can help you establish strong connections and foster a sense of community. Using the Power of Your Voice is a guide to start your podcast in just 30 days, and it's perfect for anyone who is clear that God told them to start a podcast. Whether you're nervous about recording or unsure where to start, this guide will provide you with valuable insights and actionable steps to help you record and launch in 30 days. In this guide, you'll learn to identify your why, find your topic, learn where to host your podcast, and what equipment you need to start. If you are ready to be obedient to your calling and start your own podcast in just 30 days, download your copy of Using the Power of Your Voice today by going to www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. That's www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. Thank you for your support, and I can't wait for you to start using the power of your voice. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. I know it's been a minute. We're going to get into that later. First and foremost, I want to welcome all of our new Slayers joining the movement. Whether you found us on YouTube, you found us on podcast, wherever somebody told you about us, you was following me on socials, wherever it was. Thank you so much for being here. I am grateful that you are here, and I'm grateful that you're tuning in and you're listening. And if you're listening, that means you have the ability to share this episode. So I want you to go ahead and share this episode with at least 10 people. We still have our goal of 2023 of reaching 100,000 downloads, and we are well on our way because we hit 69,000 downloads in August, y'all, and your girl ain't put out a new episode, like a solo episode, since May. We're going to get into that too, but we're moving. People are still on the movement, and I'm always grateful that you all just continue to look out and people listen. Like, again, I always say that. It's always amazing to me. Like, people still be listening to me, like, for real, okay? Let's talk about it, okay? The elephant in the room is... yeah, I recorded like 2 episodes in May, and then I ghosted on y'all. I really did. And let me explain why. I believe, not for real. Okay. I think that I entered into 2023 with all these hopes and, this is the year of doing, and I got to moving and some other stuff started happening, like real life stuff started happening that, I don't know, it just kind of caused me to pause and just like take a moment to like do some inventory and some resetting and regrouping for myself personally, right? I believe I shared on here, maybe I didn't, but I believe I shared on here that I have alopecia areata. And so alopecia areata is basically where you have the balding in your scalp, but it's not all over the place. It's like little circular places, usually at the crown of your head or like right in the front. And so I didn't notice this. Y'all know I had locks for almost 20 years, and I didn't notice it until I think I noticed it in 2020 when I cut my hair. Well, actually, my sister was like, you got a bald spot. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, it must be because of pulling from the locks for so long. Like, okay, well, now there's no tension on my head. I'm sure it'll grow back. Well, 3 years later, no, there still was no growth. And so for me, I had multiple conversations with women on here, actually, where they talked about different types of alopecia. So I finally looked it up and was like, let me just go to the dermatologist. So I go, and she's like, yeah, that's definitely it. I started doing these injections in my head because I say, listen here, I don't mind being bold, but what I won't be is patchy. Okay. You won't have me out here looking patchy. I can't do that. Right. I don't be feeling wigs. It makes me hot. I want to keep my short haircut. Okay. So we started doing the shots, and then it's called it's a steroid shot. And so as a result of the steroid shot, your hair or your skin rather lightens, and then you have atrophy. So atrophy is kind of like the muscle wherever starts to like diminish, right? So then I had little craters in my head. And I was like, yeah, no, this is not gonna work, right? On top of having that, right, I'm thinking to myself, like, this is an autoimmune disorder, right? And so I'm like going over my lifespan. If my family has a family history or something, baby, it all comes to me. Okay. So I was like, I got eczema, I have asthma, I have allergies to almost everything. I got vitiligo, I have something else. I be having some like IBS stuff. And so ultimately I was just like, this seems like a lot of autoimmune disorders happening. Like I'm one that's like, if it walk like a duck and it talk like a duck, let's make sure it's not a turkey, right? Like I just need to know. So I go to a rheumatologist, and I'm actually jumping ahead because clearly I'm talking about my health, but this all has to do with this journey. Go to the rheumatologist, and I'm kind of going through this process of figuring out what's wrong with me. Now, in the midst of all of that, kids are coming out of school, kids are transitioning. There's transition happening in my home. There's transitioning happening within the world. Like, this is just a lot of stuff going on, right? At the same time, God is still in the blessing business. All right. I saw a post that said, life be life and, but God be God and too. Like, and that is real. Like, even though life has been life and God has been showing up miraculously in my life. So I think part of that, and I'll delve into that a little bit later, but going through that, I didn't realize during that time, I was actually having some like insecurity or self-doubt or anxiety around the fact that I had this spot in my head. And as for the viewer or people who are around me, they were like, I didn't notice. Well, that's because I started doing the comb over, right? So if you people like, oh, I like your haircut, and I'm like, well, now for me, I'm like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. But honestly, I'm just covering growing my hair out. It is like, this shirt is doing something, y'all. I don't know. Okay, I think it's because it might be a little bit too big, and probably the way I put it, it's the neck. This is making me want to tussle. You see how it's like, all right, I'm sorry, y'all, because those of you all who are listening, it's like, girl, what are you talking about? Stay focused. Okay. Anyway, so I think that I had this spot in my head, and it's at the front of my hair. And so it was like a nice big old spot. So there was a period of time where like a comb over wasn't doing it, right? Like I could see a hole, like for me. And this is coming from somebody who dealt with has had a crooked face for the last 22 years. Like, okay, like it was just something else. And I think I was feeling some type of way about it. And if I'm being honest, we all know that when you're struggling in some areas of your life, other things kind of take yeah, see, this is stupid. It makes me want to take my shirt off, but I'm not gonna do that. All right, just there we go. We're gonna stay just like that. Excuse me. Sometimes when you're going through stuff like that, these things like it throws your focus off in other areas. And I think when it came to the podcast, for me, I was just like, yeah, to show up and give 100%, or to show up and really put myself into the show. I felt like I would have been being inauthentic, right? Like that was literally the first thing that came to my mind, was just kind of like, I don't really feel like it because I don't feel my best, right? Now that can go into, we can have a whole nother conversation about not doing stuff when you don't feel like it. And I have shared multiple times on here that I'm a person who operates in their feelings. So if I don't feel like it ain't happening, right? But that had a lot to do with why I was having the difficulty showing up, because tell y'all all the time, you know, new things come up, you're gonna have new levels of self-doubt, right? And different things, stuff that you don't have no control over. And that I didn't have any control over. And at the same time, trying to figure out like, why now, right? These are the things that happen. Something comes in, it'd be like, like we was just fine. Like what's going on? Like what do you want from me, Lord? Like what are you trying to teach me out of my head falling out? I don't know, right? So now me and him tussling, right? Because I'm like, well, what is going on? And it's just again, life is lifing, but then God is Godding, right? And so throughout that time, I'm feeling some type of way, and I can say it now, like because I was feeling some type of way, it just made me not be as motivated, right? And so I just kind of was like, well, I got all these guest episodes that I did. And I'm gonna just put them out and I'll see y'all later, right? And I was like, I'm gonna just take a break. That's what I'm gonna do. And so that's what I did. Basically, I just was like, let me just focus on me and focus on like my feelings and what's going on. And part of me was like, I don't owe y'all no explanation. However, I mean, it is kind of rude to just roll out on people. So I apologize. I am sorry. And if you get the newsletters, I did say I want to be more transparent about the things that I'm going through because lots of times, like this is the reason why we do the show. This is the reason why God gave me this. I recognize that even in that space, like God gave you this voice, He gave you this platform, He gave you this your ability to be able to share these things because someone is going through the exact same thing, right? And so yeah, that's why I was missing for those of you all who paid attention, okay? Um and so let me get into some new stuff first and then we'll get into some other stuff about me. So first things first. A couple of months ago, or last year sometime, God gave me this workshop to do. I think I shared it in one of the episodes. I don't know which one because I didn't name it that. I said it in one of them that I was in the shower. He said, do this workshop. And then remember, I told y'all I did it every month or was trying to do it like once a week or something like that. And was like, oop, I'm going to do this. Boom, there you go. And he was like, ain't nobody tell you all of that. So then I stopped, right? So again, moving ahead and doing the most, started doing that, right? But it was always this thing in the back of my head of like, he gave this to me, but what is it supposed to look like? What do you want me to do? And so during this time, it was a thing of like, you are still going to do this. Um, but you need to do it in a way that makes sense for you being me, right? And so I had this conversation with this coach that I have been working with, and one of the things that she had said to me was like, you definitely are someone who's I would have never thought it, but perfectionist and kind of overachieving. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. But people see you before you see yourself, so she could be right. I don't know. But anyway, I was just telling her like all these different things I want to be able to. I have all these gifts. I have all these things that God wants me to do. How can I do them all? And the example or the way she shared it with me to be able to get me to this place was kind of like, instead of having to fill up one cup and everything has to come out of this, like me putting all my eggs in one basket and saying, slaying self-doubt has to do all the things. Like, it's gotta happen. This is the thing. Coaching has to happen in this type of way. Podcasting has to happen in this type of way. Events, those type of things. A mom has to happen in this type of way. A wife has to, like those type of things. It's like, take little cups and what could you do in all those little cups to be able to still fill your love tank in that area, right? And so I'm aware that what I do, slaying self-doubt as a self-doubt coach, is that's a lot of work and people have to be and intentional and also ready to make the investment to work on themselves. And talking to her, I said, Beyonce is Beyonce and Usher are out here. People do not care about slaying themselves out. Like this, I mean, I'm not even hating on me. I'm just saying that that's what it is. People are choosing to put their money where they place their value. That's what we do. We've been taught that all the time. And so right now, people are valuing their happiness. Queen B, Usher out here doing their thing. They out here doing their thing, and congrats to them. At the same time, sucks for me, right? Like, all right, well, I guess I'll see you when they come off tour or whatever have you, right? But it made me think about the fact that I can't compete with those type of situations, and I'm not trying to, right? But at the same time, I have to be able to create the space, which is what I do, to be able to have those things without relying on like, hey, this person has to show up on this day for 8 weeks, yada, yada, yada. Like it has to be like that. So what I have done is I've taken that workshop and I'm going to offer it every month starting September 20th. So every third Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's the same workshop over and over again. So if you come in September and then in January, you be like, Felicia, listen, I heard you the first time, but I'm gonna come back. I want to be able to give people the opportunity to be able to create their goals, figure out the thing that's holding them back and get started, right? Like we say all the time, oh, summer bodies are made in the winter. Well, baby, it's about to be hoodie season. Okay. So if it's about to be hoodie season, if you need to level up your body, you also need to level up your mind. And I'm saying just coincide them, right? But like I said, I wanted to be able to create the space that allowed you to be able to get the help that you need. Without the huge investment, right? So it's still an investment. It's an investment of $25 for every workshop that you attend. But you still get to make goals. You still get to get coaching from me. And for me, it fills my love tank, right? So if I don't get any clients this month, I know that whoever shows up at this workshop on the 20th, they're going to get all of me. And that makes me excited, right? And so if you know somebody who is interested in going to the workshop, bring your friend, whoever, like, ladies, let's do this. Like we don't have time. Time is not waiting for us. We are getting older, things are happening, and we just need to work on us now. Don't wait until later. Okay, do it right now. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I dropped the eGuide, and which is the using the power of your voice podcast guide. You guys have been listening to me for a long time, and a few of you, if I pointed you out, I will let you know. A few of you have been like, I've been thinking about starting the podcast, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I have created a guide to tell you exactly how I did it, right? Like, this is what I did. This is all the things that I went through. This is literally, you can start. Like, you can use this guide, and I promise you, you can have a podcast in 30 days. Now, with that being said, you got to do the work. Okay. You got to do the work in order to make it, but you can download the eGuide, get to work on it, and 30 days from now, if you did it today, well, today I'm talking it's September 1st, but you're hearing this on the 3rd. So, 30 days from the 3rd, right? It was that October 3rd. Yeah. But if you, or 2nd or whatever, but if you know what I mean. See, that's messing me up. I guess it's the 2nd or the 3rd. Oh my gosh. But if you do that today, like you can have your podcast. And again, it's not that big of a deal, y'all. And I'm saying this from somebody who went through all of the mind games that I played on myself, the trickeration, all of that stuff, to end up being in the space of like, man, this wasn't that hard. Like you just plug the computer up, plug the mic up, and talk. That's it. Like I literally had a conversation with somebody yesterday. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you're just doing so great." And what camera are you using? I'm not using no camera. Well, what are you using? Zoom. And so she's like, "What? I thought you was using." No, baby, because that costs money. And until the podcast is making money, there are only certain investments I'm going to make, right? Like, so in the meantime, what's working is working. What ain't, it will come later, right? So I'm not even about to put myself in a situation to like, I'm not about to put myself in a situation out here spending money that the podcast is not making, right? So I have to make better decisions. I'm going to use what I got, and I'm going to keep showing up, keep recording, and that's just going to be the end of that. So anyway, grab the eGuide, go ahead and get it so you can start your podcast if this is what it is that you want to do. Third thing, the prayer journal. I know, I have put out so many different things that I don't advertise, that I don't share, I don't put it on social media. I don't say it on here. It's almost as if, and I heard this in this other group that I'm in, it's like, so y'all just put stuff out, you think people just supposed to remember, right? Oh yeah, I forgot she got this thing. You did it one time, you made one post and you pinned it. That's me. Okay, that's me who pinned the post and think that you're gonna come to my page and look at my pin and be like, oh yeah, I forgot she had that. No. So that's something else I'm going to make sure that I am doing better about sharing. So you can click the link, go to the website. All of this stuff is on the website. Go to the website, sign up for the workshop, get the podcast guide, grab the journal. And y'all, I just said it's about to be hoodie season. Okay. You see, I got, even though my neck is messed up, you see, I got the shirt on. We just out here trusting God. Y'all can't see it because it's all the way down here. But oh, there you go. We just out here trusting God. Um, get your hoodie and your t-shirt, okay? You can it's still out here in the DMV. Listen, it's about to be 98 degrees next week, so the weather's doing whatever it's going to do, but it's closer to fall. So get yourself a hoodie. They come in other colors. You don't have to always get it in purple. We have red, we have green, like that military green. We got black, we got gray, like we got white. If you feeling funky, hey, go ahead and get it. But just grab your hoodie, grab your tea, and go out there and tell them Slaying Self Doubt sent you. Okay, that's where you're gonna go. The Facebook group. Y'all, whoever's in the Facebook group, whew, I'm rocking with y'all for real. But I definitely was neglecting it. And I'm gonna tell you why. See, this is about to be a whole truth episode. I'm telling you why, because hold on, because now my son is you're being loud and big round is asleep. Shh. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Y'all call all of that, and I'm probably not even gonna edit that out because this is real life. My son is out of school today. Okay. Hold on again. CJ, tell your friends you'll talk to them when you get upstairs. See? See, guys. See, this is in real life. Um, the Facebook group. Y'all, I'm sorry. I definitely been neglecting y'all. And I think I know that that's another area that I felt self-doubt in. I ain't gonna say I didn't. I don't know how to build community in that space. And that is a pain point for me. And I feel so terrible about it. I want community in that space. It's just that I don't know how to do it. I don't know what it is y'all want to talk about. I don't know what is going to pull things out of you. Like, how do I make you feel safe? Like, I don't know what it is. And, I'm going to try a few things before the end of the year to try to like bring people in and have a conversation. And maybe I do, like a live within the group only so that you all feel safe, because I want to be able to send, my clients, anybody from the workshop, anybody, like I want to be able to send them to the group and feel like, hey, something's happening in here. Not just like, hi, oh, hey, you know what I mean? With a girl coming, oh, hey. I don't want it to be like that, right? Last thing about this is all about the new things is I just said something about coaching. Yo, listen, you've been listening to me long enough and you have been getting free public service announcements. Basically, you have been out here getting, just these little nuggets of what my life has been going through and what's been happening to me, and I've been depositing stuff into you, and I am grateful for that. However, I want to see us win. Okay, Issa said I'm rooting for everybody Black. Like, I just need everybody to win. I'm rooting for my ladies out here, right? Like, it's our time. Like, let's stop playing around. Let's stop pretending like we can manage this stuff on our own. You need somebody in your corner that's going to be like, what? I know you ain't said that. I know that's not real. You need somebody in your corner to say, that's a real emotion. You need somebody in your corner to say, what does that look like? What does having a balance in your work life look like? What, like, you need somebody who's going to hold you accountable and say, hey, you said you wanted to do these. How are we going with these goals? You need somebody to walk through this journey with you. And I'm here. And this is what God has purposed me to do. And so I am inviting you all to invest with me, invest in yourself by investing in self-doubt coaching with me this fall. Again, you can go to the website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com, to get all of that. Okay. So we're going to go back and then current. All right. Really quickly, I'm going to try to do all that because I'm going to make sure that I give y'all the ending of that story I thought to tell you in the beginning. So I told y'all life was life, but God has been God too. And it's been so dope. Okay. So I started at the end of last year. My therapist was like, you need to write down your wins. And I was like, yeah, I know. I be forgetting. So I just wrote down something quickly, right? Wrote it down, but I love the way I felt because I kept looking at it, right? And so at the beginning of the year, I said, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't care what the wins are, whether or not it has to do with slaying self doubt, if it has to do with my family, my health, whatever the case may be, I want to be able to do that, right? So I started right now and I wanted to pull out some big ones in regards to slaying self doubt because that's why you're here, right? So I think I shared with y'all back in March. I did my first virtual speaker event at with the women's ministry for a local church. And that was so dope. That was my first time having a conversation with women of faith and, just really pouring into them and having them pour into me. And I felt so fulfilled by doing it, right? Like it just was it was very confirming for me that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and that like just show up and be who you are, right? And so that was awesome. And I was just like, well, it can't get no better than this, right? And so then I had somebody reach out to me, I think in April. Well, they reached out to me. And so in April, I did a podcast workshop for this business league. And let me tell you something. I know just a couple minutes ago I told you, oh, I wrote this book, blah, blah, blah. Baby, when she was like, I was just like, which one to talk about? Like, I don't even know what to say. I was so lost. Like I was just like, I don't get it. And let me just tell you, like having that guide, even though I hadn't published it at the time, but having that guide was such a help because I recognized that I did know what I was talking about. And so I'm excited because I'm going to do another one before the year's out, and really just bringing people on this podcast journey is such an amazing thing. And so I'm just glad to be able to be a part of that. But doing it for the first time was like, oh, like this is okay. And then someone asked me to lead their master class as Mrs. Slaying Self Doubt, right? So Coach Felicia showed up in an already established collective, and I was a guest speaker. And I'm like, I've been on the other side of that when a subject matter expert comes in and talks about it. I didn't know what it would be like to be in that space. But it was again me showing up, me pouring in. It was me being me, and the girls who they host the group, they ended up, texting me after and was like, "Man, that was so good. Like seeing you in your element is completely different than just like, hey girl, hey, right?" And so it was that was huge for me. It was really, really big. And then, so in May, I think I told you I went to TD Jake's conference. That's one of the episodes I did back in May. But I went to the conference, and while I was there, I wrote down that I wanted to speak at a church conference. Like he told us, like, write down some things that you're praying for God for. I was like, I'd like to do that before the end of the year. And wouldn't you know it, like a month later, I get an email to moderate the women's conference at my church, right? I'm gonna first tell y'all that I was like, oh, okay, like some logistical stuff I had to get out the way first. And so once I got that out the way, I was like, oh yes, I'm so excited. Like, just let me know. So they, over the time, ladies emailing me stuff, telling me different things. And I promise you, y'all, this was happening at the same time that we were vacationing. So when I tell you that there is a difference between someone else doing something and you just have to show up and be who you are versus you putting on something, and the stress and anxiety that goes along with that is completely different. Baby, it was completely different. So first of all, because it wasn't even my event, sis forgot. Like sis was, I was out here like, oh, I'll get to like, I need to do it. So mind you, this event is on Saturday. It's Thursday. I'm at my parents' house before we about to go on the road the next morning. I'm like, I should probably look at these questions for Saturday, right? Let me go look. Let me figure out how I'm gonna ask them these questions. I don't, like it just got to make sense to me, right? I'm just like to make it easier. I don't know. Thank God I did that, because on the way home on Friday, one of them sent me a message. It was like, hey, are you going to tell us the questions that you're going to ask? Oh, yeah. Glad I did that. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So I sent it to them and said, this is the order I'm going to ask them in, pretty much like, we're just going to do that. So fast forward, get to the event. First of all, my mom surprised me at the event. If you've seen me on social, I have posted the video a couple of times. I am crying, and I'm not necessarily a crier. And so even my sisters was like, I can't believe you cried. I was like, I think it was all the anxiety that I was saying I wasn't feeling, but I really was. But it was so many things happening at the same time. Like it was almost like an out of body experience. Like I didn't realize it, like where I was, nor did I realize the significance of what I had been asked to do. Right. So when I tell you, I was like it was just like what, like it nothing, it just was not, the math wasn't mathing in my head at all. Right. And so I'm like, I just think I just felt all the emotions. I see her because I left her in her driveway the day before. Like, how are you here? And she said she flew out that night and she wanted to come support me. And I was just like, oh, thank you so much. And so we're doing all the things. The people are like, so one of the women that are the part of the ministry, like she's like, you need anything, you need some water, you want me to go get you coffee, this, that, and the third. Y'all are going to sit back here. And the whole time, now mind you, this is my church, right? I serve here, I worship here, I work here, like all these different things. And I'm just like, why are they acting like I don't know where I'm going, or I can't, telling y'all the math wasn't mathing, right? So we get to they have this list and they're like, where you going? I was like, I think it's like 10:30, something like that. So I'm looking at the program, right? And so it says session 1, session 2, session 3. And so I'm like, oh, session 3 definitely must be like the keynote speaker or whatever. Whoever's laughing, like I can laugh at it now, okay? I was like, the keynote speaker going to be, oh, I can't wait to see who it is. Mind you, I'm looking around like, who's the person that's going to talk, right? So to get through the first part, amazing, praise and worship, everything. Then the lady comes over and she's like, all right, guys, if you need to go to the bathroom, do your makeup, whatever, go do that. And I need you to come right back. So I'm like, okay. So go do that, make sure I'm ready. I'm like, whew. So we get to the steps where they about to call us up. And I'm like, well, what order they going to call us in? I'm like, well, my last name Wallace, so I probably going to go last because of the other people that I know. And they, their names. So going to the list. So finally get to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I am going last. Wallace, I knew it. So the lady turns around and she was like, you're going last because you're the moderator. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I know. She was like, this is the main event. Like she's looking at me like, do you not know what you here? And so I was just like, what? Like, I was like, oh, we're the keynote, right? Like we are the thing. Like we are the thing. This is what y'all came here for. And so I'm at that moment, I was just like, oh crap. I don't even have enough time to panic because now I'm walking on stage, right? And so I don't know if anybody noticed who watched it. Like I'm walking on stage and I'm looking around because I literally, it was like, it was hitting me at that moment. Like, okay, first of all, you asked for this and God just set you right in the space that you was going to be comfortable, all of that stuff. Like so many things happened that it wasn't a huge stage. Like, like I ain't get asked to go to Woman Evolve or nothing crazy like that. Because if it was Woman Evolve, I probably would have been like, oh my God, right. But being here, it's like, oh, it's home, it's comfortable. Oh yeah, they probably asking because the other people that were on the panel also work there too, whether it's full-time or part-time. And so I'm like, okay, everybody know each other, whatever. And so get on stage, do my thing, whatever have you. And afterwards, people were just like, oh my God, that was so good. And I kept saying, what? What was so good? Like, I don't know. Because for me, sitting in that space, I just felt like I just was reading the questions, answering them. I was having all these thoughts like, okay, what do moderators do? What have I seen before that a moderator? Okay, you need to ask them. Like I'm literally all these things are computing in my head. I'm engaging in the conversation. Like I'm doing all these things. But for me, like when they were like, oh my gosh, you was just so good. I could tell you was in your bag. Like I kept saying to myself, I said, I appreciate it. I'm receiving it. I was like, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't know because it feels so normal to me. And somebody was like, that's how you know you're in your sweet spot. You in your sweet spot when it's not work. And it took me a few days to be like, bro, I just did that. Like I literally moderated at a conference. No, like the anxiety wasn't the way it would normally be. And I read this post that says, you know, when God knows you're prepared, you don't have to fight for it, right? And it's one of these things where it made me feel like he knew I was ready. He had prepared me for this moment. I've done so many different things. And the crazy part about it is there's been multiple times that I have had this thought of, I would like to do a live a live slaying self-doubt conference, something in person. And I just was like, I would love to do a panel, but I don't even know how to talk to 5 people at the same time. I can do one. Okay. Y'all see me do it all the time on here, but I don't know how I'm going to do 5 people. That is just too many. And he said, okay, I'm going to show you how, and put me in a position to be able to do that. And so, like I said earlier, at the same time that I'm having these feelings about, insecurities, fears, all that other, God is still just like, he's still in the blessing business, and he's still out here being like, I got you. Then like the following week for my part-time that I do at the church, we ended up doing it's called Zion Anywhere Takeover. And so that's basically where we took over the online campus. And so me, my director, and another leader within our within our ministry, we were live. Now, I know y'all know that I have shared to y'all multiple times how I've gotten comfortable with being here, but I can control this, right? Like, this is me controlling it. Being on the other side and having like someone else control, like, it was this thing that I've always worried about. But when they asked me to do it, I was like, sure, right? Because I was already off yeah, I'll do it. It's no problem. And when I tell you, I sat there and I did that, and I was just like, in a matter of a couple of weeks, God has shown me what it's looked like to do a live podcast. Okay. Like a sit down, not sitting at my desk with a green screen behind me or anything like that. Like, he showed me what it was like to do a live podcast and interact with somebody. Like, I could see it, right? And I just was so grateful that it's, like I say, in the midst of life happening, that God still was like, I got you. Like, I'm going to show you how to get there. Like, we be so focused on the how, and he's showing us, if we just chill, if we just wait and let things happen, if we just take our time and position ourselves to just be present and still and focused enough, right? Instead of the thing about it was, y'all, those things started to happen. And I'm not saying this because I stopped doing this, but it really was when I stopped doing this, all these other things started being like, I gave him room, because what I was doing is I had my hand all in it. I had my hand all in trying to figure out, oh, well, maybe I need to do this and maybe I need to do that. And so not doing this, taking the time to like focus on me, my needs, what it is that I need to be able to move forward, God just continued to show up, and he continues to show up. And so I'm grateful, like those things. And so I wrote that all on my 2023 wins list. And I'm like, we only in August, baby. I still got more to do. Okay. But I also realized, even sharing this with you all, there's a lot of firsts that I've done. Right. And so I posted something on August 30th, basically. This said 31st yesterday, that basically was like, what are you going to do new in September? And so I want y'all to share that with me. I want to know, what are you going to do new in September? Because I also feel like when you do something new and you challenge yourself, like, it brings something else up out of you, right? Because you're able to see yourself in a different way, in a different light. And so I really do believe that we should challenge ourselves to do something new. So I have quite a few things that I would like to do new this year. I mean, new this month. Some of the stuff is like basic stuff. Some of the stuff is like, but I'm gonna make sure you will follow me on Instagram so I can share all of that with you. And I'll be like, it's a first. It's a first. I'm just gonna like, it is still doing, right? We're doing. I'm not sitting. I'm doing. Even in the midst of, like, I think that in the beginning of the year, I thought it was gonna be all the big things. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this. And it was like, girl, you're still doing. This is still the year of doing, because you're doing the work. You're doing the necessary work. You're doing the right work at the right time. You're doing the things that you need to do in the way that God is calling you to do it. And so I'm grateful for that. So really quickly before we get out of here, because I feel like I've already been talking y'all hate off, and I know some of y'all don't mind, but hey, since we having a limit. So I go to the rheumatologist to find out what's going on with my hair or whatever have you. And so he like, why you here? And I was like, well, first of all, he like, how you find me? Because I'm like 45 minutes away from my house. And I was like, I don't be playing when it comes to my health. And so I'm older. I'm a woman of a certain age now, that I need to have the best of the best. And I looked you up. I went through your credentials. You got referred to me through somebody else. I don't take every physician's referral. I'd be like, okay. And I was like, and I need somebody who looked like me. And so I told him what was going on. He was like, I got you. The amount of blood that lady took from me that day, you would have thought I was donating it, but moving on. Everything came back fine. Nothing, no autoimmune, anything was wrong with me. There's literally nothing medically wrong with me. And he looks at me, he was like, it's stress. And I said, now we done already been here. Y'all know that that's the reason why I have the Bell's palsy. The Bell's palsy is because of stress. The Bell's palsy is because I stress myself out. And he was like, your body doesn't know the stress, what the stress is. Could it be you were sick? Could it be like it's an outside reason why you're stressed out? Could it be daily stresses, traffic, what people, all of that, do following stuff on social media, all of that stuff, right? The news, everything. Could it be those things? It absolutely could be. But ultimately what it boils down to is that you have to manage it. And so that once I figured out that was it, I said, oh, okay, I got it. For me, I said, then the enemy that had two times, because basically when I stress out to the max and my body is overly stressed, it attacks itself. The first time was with this Bell's palsy, and now you're giving me bald spots. I said, if we stopping at the neck, this is done. It is, because do you know the amount of people that I've known, heard of, that in their late 30s, 40s, early 50s are dying because of heart attacks? Nothing is wrong with them. It is out of stress. Baby, I don't have time for all of that. Let me tell you, I went to my cardiologist, was like, whatever medication you want me on to make sure I don't have a cardiac event, I got it. However, I need to manage my stress. So my therapist, I had a therapy appointment right after the rheumatologist. What we need to do? Oh, you want me to try meditation? Fine. So these are the things that I have to be able to do. Whatever is going to bring me the most peace the soonest, that is what I'm doing. I am reordering the way the way I do stuff, right? And so I titled this episode New Month, Same Goals, New Mindset. I have the same goals. I'm still on this health journey. I still want to do the things with the self-doubt, slaying self-doubt. I still, this I gotta go back to work, y'all. I'll share that next week, but I gotta go back to work. Those are things that have to happen. They all bring some type of stress in some form of fashion, right? Parenting, being a wife, being a friend, managing your life, like all of how just living has stress. But there's a new mindset. My new mindset is that it can't take my peace. If it don't bring me peace and joy, I don't want it. I really don't want it. Like now I understand those people that be like, my father has this saying that he says all the time. He's like, "Oh, you got it, buddy," and we joke around all this other stuff about it. But I remember asking him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, that's kind of my way of being like, oh, like you got it." You know what I'm saying? But he was like, "Oh, you got it." That was his way. Like this is my way of disengaging from the conversation. Like, do you want to keep? I ain't even doing it. You got it, buddy. Like I'm gonna go this way. All right, I'm out. Right. And so I said, I have to have a you got it, buddy attitude. Right. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change the name of this episode and dedicate it to my father. Okay. You got it, buddy. That is exactly the attitude I'm gonna have because I don't have time for it. My body is literally telling me again, 20 years later, lady, you keep playing around with me, we're gonna be out. And my life is so purposeful and it's so full of purpose and there's so many things that I need to do. I don't have time to be out here late on somebody's cold slab in somebody's morgue. And I don't mean to be morbid, but that's what it is. I don't have time to not be here for my children, not be here for my husband, not be here for my grandkids, or the women that are connected to my obedience. And so for me, you got it, buddy. I am disengaging from this conversation. One or the other. You gonna get that. You got it, buddy, with the hands up and everything. Hey, Slim, I'm out. Like I only have, hey, I ain't even trying to be in the business. Don't even worry about it. So I want to ask y'all a question this episode. What's something new that you're going to try this month? You can either email me, click the link in the show notes and email me back and let me know what you're going to try something new. And then I'm going to follow up with you because I want to know, what did you do, girl? Or put it underneath the comment for the new episode. Y'all register for the Slaying One Day workshop. Like I said, they're monthly. So if you can't make it to the September one, look at the November one and it goes into 2024. So don't play me. Play Lotto, don't play me. Okay. I'm prepared for y'all. It's go all the way out to June. Okay. I already know how y'all be operating. So go ahead, sign up, get somebody else to find somebody else to come with you. If you don't want to be in there with just be me and you, get your girl to come. It's $25. Okay. You spend that at Starbucks. Okay. I already know. But y'all, as always, thank y'all for rocking with me. I'm so grateful to be back. Last thing, really quickly, the setup of the podcast is going to be different. One of the things that I noticed is that coming into this, I just was recording every week, and my life doesn't really allow for that anymore. So we're going to be like season-ish. There will be no seasons because we 261 episodes in. Okay. So I don't even know what season we on. Is it 15, 5? I have no idea. But what we are going to have is season issues, right? So basically what's going to happen is you're going to get 12 episodes of me straight. Then you're going to get 12 episodes of the Journey Behind the Business series, because that's a series that I enjoy doing. Then you'll get 12 episodes of me, and we're just going to go back and forth. Okay. So what you won't have me in your ear every single week, every single day, because every single week for the rest of the year, because it's no longer, I don't have the capacity for it anymore. But I love both and I'm going to do both. And so I need to do it in a way that makes sense for me. Okay. So anyway, if you enjoyed this podcast and you found it valuable, consider making a donation and buying me a coffee anywhere between $5 to $10. This is going to help me create new content, reach new people. We trying to hit that $100,000 downloads. Okay. But if somebody want to give me $100,000, you can too. And I want to start doing live podcasts. So remember earlier I was talking about the cameras and the lighting and all that other stuff. Ultimately, I'm gonna say it on here because if you say things aloud, God will hear you. And so my prayer is that I'm able to have my prayer is that I have a slaying self-doubt studio. That's what I would like, to be able to have a slaying self-doubt studio, and I'm able to do my content in there, be able to have people come, fly people out to interview with me, all of those different things. Like that is what I want to be able to do. And so your donations will help me. Y'all, we're about to go into the fall months. And so y'all know that sometimes the change in the seasons cause changes in your body. And some people get a disorder called SAD, which is like seasonal depression. It's basically what it is, seasonal depression. And so I want you to take charge of your mental health and get 10% off your first month of the month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slaying, SLAYING. Click the link in the show notes. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. I'm back with a newsletter. I sent one out last week, so I know I have been, and they'll go back to being weekly because the monthly wasn't working either. Share this download with 10 people, y'all. 10, so that we can hit 100,000 downloads. I just need 30,000 downloads more before the end of the year. Like, please. Follow me on Instagram at Slang Self Doubt. I'm on TikTok at Slang Self Doubt too. Yeah. Until next time, keep slaying, sis. See ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.